Hello, everyone. Welcome to our session on business research methods. Today, we are focusing on Chapter 3, which is arguably one of the most critical stages of your academic journey, critically reviewing the literature. By the end of this session, you should have a comprehensive understanding of the importance and purpose of a critical literature review. We will explore how to adopt a critical perspective in your reading and what specific elements need to be included in your final written review. Furthermore, you will learn to identify search terms and undertake effective online literature searches across various databases. We will also cover how to evaluate the relevance, value, and sufficiency of the sources you find. Finally, we will address the technicalities of accurate referencing and the ethical implications of plagiarism, ensuring you can apply these skills directly to your own research projects. As students, you are frequently asked to review the literature, but many find this process difficult and time-consuming. The main challenges include making reasoned judgments about the value of each work and organizing those ideas into a coherent framework. A common mistake is simply summarizing articles without connecting them. For example, a student might summarize 10 articles on environmental conservation but fail to link them meaningfully. They could list different studies on reducing plastic waste, improving air quality, and protecting endangered species, but not show how these aspects are related or how they contribute to the overall goal of environmental conservation. A truly critical review should discuss and evaluate published work relevant to your topic, allocating more space to significant works while highlighting major theories, ongoing debates, and current research gaps that your study might address. Let's define what we mean by a critical literature review. According to Wallace and Ray, it is a constructively critical analysis that develops a clear argument about what is known and not known regarding your research question. It is important to remember that it is not just a sequence of summaries. Instead, it must assess the significance, clarity, and reliability of each source. For instance, if you are reviewing studies on customer loyalty programs, you shouldn't just list them. You must distinguish between those with consistent empirical support and those that present contradictory or unclear findings, explaining why those contradictions might exist. There are 5 primary types of critical reviews. First, the integrative review synthesizes representative literature to generate new frameworks. For example, in the field of marketing, an integrative review might combine studies on different customer segmentation models. By synthesizing these studies, it could generate a new framework that better predicts customer behavior and helps businesses target their marketing efforts more effectively. Second, the historical review examines how research on a topic has evolved over time. Take the study of climate change as an example. A historical review would look at how the understanding of climate change has changed from early theories to the current comprehensive models, showing how research has progressed over decades. Third, the theoretical review highlights gaps in existing theories or reveals where current theories are inadequate for new problems. In the area of artificial intelligence, a theoretical review might point out that current machine learning theories struggle to handle real-world uncertainties. This review could then suggest areas where new theories are needed to address these limitations. Fourth, the methodological review focuses on research approaches and data collection techniques, providing a framework for understanding different methodologies. For instance, in a medical research project, a methodological review would assess different ways of collecting patient data, such as surveys, medical records, or clinical trials. It would help researchers understand which method is most suitable for their specific research question. Finally, the systematic review uses a comprehensive, pre-planned strategy to locate and analyze research pertinent to a clearly formulated question. Suppose a researcher wants to find out the most effective treatment for a rare disease. A systematic review would follow a set plan, to search through all relevant medical databases, select appropriate studies, and analyze the results to provide a clear answer. For your assignments, please pay close attention to these definitions and decide which type best suits your research objectives. When approaching your review, you can use a deductive or inductive approach. In a deductive approach, you use the existing literature to build a conceptual or theoretical framework, which you then test with your own data. An example of this is using the Technology Acceptance Model, or TAM, and testing it with survey data. Conversely, an inductive approach involves exploring data first to develop theories, which are later related back to the existing literature. An example here would be conducting interviews with experts on AI adoption and then comparing the emergent themes you've discovered to existing innovation theories in the field. Adopting a critical perspective requires effective reading skills. According to Harvard College Library, you should practice previewing to define the text's purpose, annotating to create a dialogue with the text, and summarizing arguments in your own words. Always compare and contrast agreements and contradictions between authors. Wallace and Ray suggest 5 critical questions. Why am I reading this? What is the author trying to do? How relevant is it? How convincing is the argument? And what use can I make of it? For example, when reading about insurance churn, ask if the findings are evidence-based or merely speculative before including them in your review. What exactly must be included in your review? It must contain both theoretical and empirical research, as well as arguments that both support and oppose your own ideas. You should evaluate key theories, identify patterns or omissions, and link findings directly to your research question. Use the checklist in box 3.2 on page 77 to ensure relevance and accurate referencing. For example, if you are reviewing supply chain resilience, don't just define it. Highlight how different studies conceptualize it differently, such as focusing on risk management versus adaptive capability. This depth of analysis is what transforms a summary into a critical review. To be truly critical, you should consider the 4 dimensions of critique proposed by Mingers. First is rhetoric, evaluating the arguments and the language used. A second is tradition, questioning the conventional wisdom of the field. Third is authority, critiquing the dominant figures or theories. Fourth is objectivity, recognizing that knowledge is rarely value-free. Use the checklist in box 3.4 on page 79 to evaluate your work. The more questions you can answer with a yes, such as have I assessed the strengths and weaknesses of previous research, the more likely it is that your review will meet the required critical standards. Structure is vital for clarity. You can structure your review as a single chapter, a series of chapters, or throughout the project if you are using an inductive approach. We highly recommend the funnel structure shown in figure 3.2. This involves starting with a general overview, narrowing down to your specific research questions, summarizing and contrasting authors, and highlighting the research most relevant to your study. For example, a funnel on trust would start with broad definitions by major authors like Mayer or Russo and narrow down to specific unresolved debates regarding how trust and distrust coexist in management research. Once you have drafted your review, use the checklist in box 3.5 to evaluate its structure. Ask yourself, does it have a clear descriptive title? Have I explained the search parameters and selection criteria? Does the review start general before narrowing down? Is it organized thematically around ideas rather than just listing researchers chronologically? Cohesion is key. Your arguments should link in a way that is logical to your reader. Use subheadings effectively to guide the reader through your thoughts, and ensure the structure draws attention to the issues most pertinent to your specific research objectives and subsequent project report sections. To ensure quality, avoid common mistakes like uncritical listings, which often look like an annotated bibliography. Don't allocate equal weight to all studies. Instead, assess their significance and give more space to the most important ones. Use a thematic structure instead of a chronological or author-based listing. For example, instead of listing every study on employee motivation in order of publication date, group them by themes such as intrinsic motivation, extrinsic incentives, and hybrid approaches. This demonstrates your ability to synthesize and categorize complex information rather than just reporting what has been written by others. Now, let's look at literature sources. The volume of information is expanding rapidly online. You will primarily use two categories. Secondary sources are formally published items like academic journals and books. Gray or primary sources include items produced by governments, industry, or academics that are not controlled by commercial publishers, such as reports and conference proceedings. For a topic like AI use in retail CRM, you should start with refereed academic journals to establish a theoretical foundation, and then consult industry reports or gray literature to understand current practice and real-world implementation. Balancing these source types provides both depth and context. Table 3.1 provides a detailed summary of sources. When it comes to theories and frameworks, refereed academic journals are your best bet. This is because they are peer-reviewed, which means that other experts in the field have carefully examined and approved the research. For example, in a study about AI in healthcare, a peer-reviewed journal like Artificial Intelligence in Medicine would offer in-depth theoretical knowledge and well-established frameworks for using AI algorithms in diagnosing diseases. Professional and trade journals provide valuable insights into current practice and trends. For instance, in the fashion industry, a trade journal like WGSN offers real-time information on the latest fashion trends, consumer preferences, and industry innovations. However, compared to refereed academic journals, they may have less theoretical depth. Books and ebooks are also great resources. They offer structured, accessible synthesis of topics. Take, for example, a book on marketing strategies. It might start from the basic concepts of marketing and gradually build up to advanced techniques, providing a comprehensive overview that is easy to follow. This makes it convenient for you to grasp the big picture of a subject. Reports or gray literature are excellent for getting current and practical data. If you're researching the economic impact of a new policy, government reports can offer up-to-date statistics and detailed analyses. Market reports, on the other hand, can provide data on consumer behavior, market share, and competitive analysis. Conference proceedings are a goldmine for cutting-edge, emerging ideas. At a technology conference like CES, Consumer Electronics Show, researchers and innovators present their latest work. These proceedings can introduce you to new concepts and technologies that are just starting to gain traction. Theses offer unique advanced research. For example, a doctoral thesis on environmental science might present original findings from a long-term research project, exploring new solutions to environmental problems. Remember to recognize the various types of sources and their specific values. You can use databases like JSTOR, EBSCO, or Emerald to locate high-quality, peer-reviewed content for your research. These databases house a vast collection of academic and professional materials, making it easier for you to find the information you need. Conducting your search is a systematic process. As shown in Figure 3.1, you must first define your parameters, including language, geography, and time frame. Then, generate and refine your search terms. Conduct searches across multiple databases like ProQuest or Emerald Insight to ensure comprehensive coverage. Once you obtain the documents, evaluate them critically for both relevance to your topic and the rigor of their methodology. It is essential to record your findings systematically as you go and to update your searches as your project evolves. This iterative process ensures that your review remains current and that you don't miss any groundbreaking new studies. There are multiple approaches to searching. For instance, you can use online databases such as ProQuest and Emerald Insight, which we mentioned earlier. These databases are rich in various academic resources. You should also check references from books or articles. Say, if you're reading a well-known research book on business management, the references in it can lead you to other relevant and high-quality sources. Another useful approach is to scan tables of contents. For example, in a collection of academic journals related to your topic, quickly scanning the table of contents can help you spot potentially interesting articles at a glance. Additionally, you can use general tools like Google Scholar. Google Scholar is very convenient as it aggregates a vast amount of academic content from different sources across the web. When using databases, be aware of the three types: full text, abstract only, and basic indexes. For full text databases, like JSTOR in the humanities field, you can directly access the complete articles. Abstract-only databases, on the other hand, will just give you the summary of the research, which might be sufficient for a preliminary assessment. Basic indexes are like guides that point you to where the relevant materials can be found. Always record bibliographic details precisely. This includes the author, for example, Michael Porter in the field of business strategy, the date of publication, the title of the work, and the volume number if it's a journal. A professional tip: save your files with a consistent naming convention, like Saunders 2012 Web Questionnaire. This makes it easier for you to organize and find your resources later. Additionally, your workflow should involve listing search terms. Let's say your topic is sustainable marketing. You can list related terms like green marketing, eco-friendly marketing, etc. Then, use Boolean operators like and or to refine results. For example, if you use sustainable marketing and social media, you'll get results that combine both aspects. And limit your search to peer-reviewed fields to ensure the quality of the literature you are retrieving. Journals like the Journal of Marketing Research are peer-reviewed and are well known for their high-quality research. When obtaining and evaluating literature, focus on 5 key concepts. First, use library catalogs and interlibrary loans to obtain sources. Second, assess relevance by matching items to your research questions. Third, assess value by considering methodological rigor and preferring refereed journals over trade magazines. Use journal rankings like Harzing's list as a guide for quality, but remember, they are not substitutes for your own critical reading. Finally, assess sufficiency. You cannot read everything. Focus on key authors and stop when new searches begin to repeat items you have already read. This indicates you have achieved sufficient coverage of the topic's main debates. Now, we must discuss the ethical side: plagiarism and referencing. Plagiarism is presenting someone else's work or ideas as your own without proper acknowledgement. This includes stealing material, such as buying papers or copying whole texts. It also includes submitting someone else's paper, like work written by a peer or relative. A common error is improper quotation, copying text word for word with a reference but omitting quotation marks. Paraphrasing without acknowledgement is also plagiarism. Even if you use your own words, you must cite the original author. Always remember that academic integrity is non-negotiable and is the foundation of your professional reputation as a researcher. Why does plagiarism matter? It is a serious ethical issue that reflects a lack of respect for intellectual honesty. Academically, the consequences are severe, ranging from failing grades to the loss of degrees or even expulsion. Consider the real-world example of the German education minister, who had her PhD revoked and had to resign due to plagiarism, discovered years later. To prevent this, always use correct referencing and citation practices. Utilize plagiarism detection tools like Turnitin or Authenticate before submission, and follow university guidelines carefully. Protecting your academic integrity is your responsibility and is essential for a successful career in business and research. Let's look at case study 3, titled After the Crisis, a Systematic and Critical Review. Emmanuel, an MSc student, conducted a systematic review of crisis management. He started with a 10-step protocol and identified 335 papers, eventually narrowing them down to 119 quality sources. However, his tutor noted his initial draft was too descriptive and lacked critical engagement. Emmanuel then learned that being critical meant recognizing assumptions and comparing different perspectives, such as Perrow's view that accidents are inevitable versus Robert's belief that reliability can prevent them. By clarifying his main ideas and emphasizing key conclusions, Emmanuel revised his report into an exceptional piece of work that combined systematic rigor with genuine critical insights. To wrap up, let's reflect on some sample answers from Emmanuel's case. A clear focus is vital because it ensures the review remains manageable and aligned with your objectives. If your focus is too broad, you'll get too many irrelevant results, too narrow, and you might miss key insights. The advantage of being systematic is transparency and replicability, while being critical encourages deeper analysis and originality. Emmanuel balanced both by using a systematic structure with critical thinking. You can use your literature review to develop interview questions and support your final analysis with evidence, ensuring a strong link between theory and practice in your own projects. This is the end of our session for today. Thank you for your attention.